I'm a free man now and can say what I like.
Today I'm doing a video about David Lloyd George. He was the British Prime Minister during World War One. He ranks highly among British Prime Ministers, but he was a complicated character and sometimes a controversial character. Now David Lloyd George has got hero status in these parts, but I'm not one of his biggest fans, but I'm going to try and make this video as impartial as I can. I'm going to visit his house and then I'll go and see his grave. He's not actually buried in this burial ground. I've just come here because there's members of his family have been buried here. Okay, this is the burial plots for the Lloyd George family. His first wife is buried here as well as his children. The grave has recently been cleaned and it looks like they've taken away some of the paint from the lettering in the process. But we've got Megan Lloyd George here. She was the Lloyd George's daughter and she was the first female Welsh Member of Parliament. She was a political giant in Wales, but her reputation was tarnished after she accompanied her father to meet Adolf Hitler in the 1930s. Lloyd George entered government in 1905. In 1916 he was appointed Minister for War, and shortly afterwards he became Prime Minister. He was instrumental in setting up the welfare state in Britain, including the old age pension. After leaving high office in 1922 he remained the Member of Parliament for this area. Okay, I'm just making my way up to T Newydd, which translates to new house. It was the house he bought in 1942 with his second wife, Frances. Lloyd George didn't move into the house until 1944, and he died here on the 26th of March 1945 at the age of 82, and he died of cancer. He actually died in the library after asking for his bed to be moved to the library. It's quite a big house. Lloyd George was a very wealthy man. He had interests in certain newspapers in London. And he had a fortune of about £3 million, I believe, which I don't know what that equates to today, but it's quite a large sum. And T Newydd is now the National Writers' Centre for Wales. And there's some footage online of the day of the funeral and when his coffin was being removed from the house. I'm not sure if it's this side of the house or the other side. I'll try and show you some of that footage. But the funeral procession would have come down this way, and it's maybe 400 or 500 yards away from his gravesite. That's where we'll go now. Now he died in 1945, but he came close to death in 1918 during the Spanish flu outbreak. And there were a number of attempts on his life. Two women and one man were arrested and charged for trying to poison him. And there was another attempt on his life in Germany by some Turkish radicals. Okay, I'm going cross country now to find Afon Dwyfor, where the grave is located. Even when he wasn't Prime Minister, he was still a very important statesman. In the 1930s he made some pretty serious miscalculations about the intentions of Adolf Hitler. In 1933 he warned that if Hitler was overthrown, communism would replace him. And the following year he insisted Germany could not wage war for 10 years. He controversially visited Germany in 1936 for talks with Hitler. Hitler told him that he was pleased to meet the man who won the war. In words that would come back to haunt him, Lloyd George called Hitler the greatest living German. In 1940, Lloyd George made the powerful speech that helped to undermine Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain and paved the way for Winston Churchill to become Prime Minister. Lloyd George was offered the ministerial post in Churchill's government, but he declined. Okay, I'll make my way up to the gravesite now. You might just be able to see it there, under where the sun is. Now, apart from the structure surrounding the grave, there's another unusual feature which you're going to notice straight away. Kind of approaching it from the wrong direction because the sun's in my face, so what I'll do is I'll walk over to the other side for the purpose of the video and I'll approach it from that side. There we are. I told you there was an unusual feature. There's a big boulder on top of the grave. I'll explain that in a second. Now, on the day of his funeral there were thousands of people here, both sides of the river. There's actually some footage I'll try and show you. You can see thousands of people the other side of the river there. And there were loads of people who had to climb these trees to get a better look. Just walks on here. Now, he chose this he'd decided years beforehand that he wanted to be buried by the river, but he chose this exact spot just after the assassination of Irish leader Michael Collins. He was severely depressed by the assassination, and he came here with Thomas Jones, the Deputy Secretary to the Cabinet, and told him, bury me here, don't put me in a cemetery. I think he was concerned that he was going to be buried in Westminster Abbey and that would cause controversy. Now, the story about the boulder is he used to sit on this boulder when he was a child, so he must have been placed down here somewhere and they moved it up and placed it on top of the grave. I'm unsure if that's something that he requested or not. He was said to have an amazing memory and had an art for getting to the root of a matter. And he was an incredible orator with an extraordinary charm and humour. Come here a little bit too early really, because they've got daffodils planted along here, the national flower of Wales. So in a month or so they'll be in full bloom. Now there's a Lloyd George Museum in the village, but I don't think it opens till Easter, or reopens. Another uncomfortable fact about Lloyd George: he was the Black and Tans in Ireland, which was a brutal reserve force that used to kill lots of civilians. It was set up under his watch, although you don't usually hear his name associated with him. But he was still in power when they were set up. Okay, just across from the grave, you've got these gates here, and these lead to the Lloyd George Museum. And it £7 for adults again, £4 for children. But it's closed at the moment. It's just a small museum. Okay, thanks for watching the video. We'll see you in the next one.